Right, we're good.
You right here.
All right, I just got word that they're waiting on me. And they're probably waiting on anybody else. So, this week I'm gonna start with a few things, and then we're gonna jump right into the fun stuff.
Okay.
Okay, did anybody learn the alphabet song or get like, how far did you get?
Olive, baby.
Alphabet, okay. Anybody else?
I just echo her.
You just echo her? So as far as she gets, it's like.
That's a duet we can do tonight. We can do that duet.
Did you want this on YouTube? Did you want this live on YouTube? Okay.
Really? Oh, you got it down,
Is it like
man.
a Friday?
You gotta sing it. Sing it.
You want to leave it? It's up? Okay.
Okay.
Version.
Yeah.
Pick one.
I texted everybody.
I would have to start over.
Sing the one that you
I would have to start over.
You know what? Just put it on and we
Just leave, just leave it.
I'm getting, I have to read.
Now I gotta just fix this.
I sent you guys the
Okay.
that has the writing.
Okay, so for those of you who got that far, that's good. You got 3. If you can identify it, that's even better. So we're doing beginning. I didn't put beginning, but biblical Hebrew lesson 5, because now we're kind of past the beginning. So now we can kind of look at other things. So I have a couple of things. One, I'm gonna have you echo something to me, and I'm gonna say it, then you'll echo back. And I'll teach you the first part of the Shema, because that's you guys
like
do
that.
and all of the people did say yes and amen to the will of Yah. So the Shema is very interesting. It's found in Deuteronomy 6:4. I'm sorry, Deuteronomy 4.
The Lord,
Am I getting it wrong, Lauren?
Deuteronomy 6.
4 through 9.
4 through 9.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so what is it again?
The Shema. So
Shema.
Oh, Deuteronomy 6:4 through 9.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you the first part in Hebrew, and then I have a really cool video that I made online, and then you can learn all the parts. So I'll give you guys the list. Why I give you that one? It is the most important. It's the most important phrase, saying, or prayer used in probably the whole Bible, because it gives you the path on which we walk, and it keeps you reminded of how important it is. So it literally, I'll paraphrase it, but it's like, Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah your Elohim is one. And you shall love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your resources. And then it tells you these words, you shall teach them diligently to your children, and you shall bind them, you should post them on your door, and talk of them in the way, and write them on your doorposts, and teach them to your children. And you shall recite this when you rise and when you go to sleep. And it's something that is a part of your everyday life. It keeps you reminded of the glory, the oneness of Elohim. Okay? So I'll teach you just the beginning part. It's really short. So it goes, so I'll say it and you guys repeat after me. Shema.
Shema.
Israel. Yahuwah. Eloheinu. Yahuwah. Ehad. So I taught you, Hear, O Israel, and as it would read in your scriptures, the Lord your God is one. But we're going to put the name back in, so it says, Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah your Elohim is one. So you learn that part. So we'll do that from now on until that gets in your head. If you ever hear, there's a few songs online with the Shema, and they'll sing through that first portion. If you've ever been to like a Messianic fellowship, they go that through the whole part. They do the Shem Kavod, and they have like their own little call and response thing that they do. So that's that first portion, and it reminds you about the majesty and the oneness of the Father. And then it goes into how we are to respond to that, how we are to teach our children, and then how we live it out amongst everyone else. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, so I gave you the first one, which was Shema, and I think we briefly talked about Shema meaning to hear and obey. Did we go over that in here? Okay, so I'm going to give you a little bit of that today, and then we're going to jump into this next part, which is our reading portion. But I want to give you guys something some nuggets to go home with, and then we'll get directly into the reading. We're going to do the letters Mem, Yod, and then we're going to learn 2 vowel points. And we talked about learning the vowel points so that we could read the commonly existing text, and I think we went over that a little bit last week. All right, so this week we're going to do Shema. All right, so I'm going to write it in the pictograph, those pictures that we learned on your little thing. I'll write in that first. You guys are going to look at the pictures. You're going to give me a definition, like one sentence based upon those pictures. and I'll write the pictures on here. And then we're gonna get into what it means to Shema. And I'll tell you what a Shem is and what it means to Shema. So I'll give you those two today, all right? So it looks like this, and I'll start off with a clean board so I can write pretty big. All right. So the first one, if you just give me, if you have the Hebrew chart I gave you all, give me the description of what the picture is. So if you go on your little Hebrew chart, find the picture that looks similar to this. If you have it in front of you, it's flip through it till you find something that looks like this. It's the sh. Exactly. Look at you. My elephant before. So, Shin, you can just say it off your sheet. So it's no, but give me the description of it. What is the picture a picture of?
Sharp. Fence. Gate.
Ladder?
Oh,
Teeth. So it means two. What happens is you're getting a letter, if you will, for a picture. So you have Shin, Mem, Ayin. Same exact thing. All right. So now that you have the definition of each letter, so eat, consume, destroy, or nourish. Mem, water, chaos, motion. Ayin, eye to see, experience. Start off by giving me a sentence using these two. Okay, just those two. So just the shin and the mem. So.
And men.
Yes.
Consume chaos,
Okay.
consume water.
Okay.
That's what I was gonna say.
That's how you stole his. Anybody else? Said consume chaos, consume water. Also means to separate, because obviously with your teeth you separate.
Destroy water.
Okay, destroy water. I think on your sheet it also gives you a definition of blood, if you have that chart. Okay. So I'll give you some brief history while you guys are working on that. Does anybody know anything about the Canaanites? Anything? Canaanite people? Say anything. Give me something. Give me something
They
about
were
Canaanite.
fierce warriors.
They were fierce warriors.
Yeah.
What was their relationship to Israel?
Enemies?
They were their enemies. Okay. We've been going through what about the Philistines? What about them? They were also enemies, right?
Yeah.
We've been going through 1 Samuel, and we have a women's Shabbat class. We go through 1 Samuel, and one of the things that we've realized in dealing with the other nations that had interaction with Israel is that we are sometimes under the illusion that the other nations have no knowledge of the Elohim that we serve, right? Like, oh, they serve their gods, we have our gods. There's no crossover. They have no knowledge. Well, there are more than 2 occasions, and we're only about to chapter 15, where the other nation seemed to know more about the gods of Israel than they knew about them, right? So one time, Hophni and Phinehas, who are Eli's sons, bring the ark out to battle. Now, to most people, you read over it because you're like, oh, cool. They brought the ark out. They wanted the glory of God to be with them. The ark is never supposed to leave the Holy of Holies. So they actually brought something out that would have absolutely killed everybody. And so when the Philistines saw that, they said, oh, we've never seen anything like this before. Like, because they had never seen the ark come out. It was supposed to be kept in that tabernacle that's described in Exodus, right? And then again in Leviticus. And so they knew of this, we'll get to this, they knew of the Shem of the God, if you will, of Israel. So Shem literally means the separation or the nourishment or the separation of the nourishment of the blood. And so when you're talking about the Bible, there's a bloodline that travels throughout the Bible. So there's one who is nourishing or keeping or guarding or separating that bloodline from everyone else, right? There's literally a verse, and I'll give it to you. It says, in Amos 3:2, Yah says to Israel, he says, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. And then he goes on to tell them, therefore I will punish you for your iniquities. So he's giving them the positive and the negative. If you are mine, my blood, right? When you are my blood, I am protecting you, I'm nourishing you. When you are chaos, I'm going to consume you.
Wow.
Right? So, and it goes with his Shem. Shem in Hebrew is the word often translated as name. Right? It's like the name of Yah. Right? So it doesn't just say Yah, but it normally says, like David says, he goes, I come to you in the name of Yahuwah, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Why do they do that? Do you ever wonder why they did that? Like, it was kind of redundant. We know, we've read the genealogies. You're Israel, you come from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The word name is a loose translation. What it really means is fame. So when they say, in the name of the God, or the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they're putting in the people's minds what he's done for Abraham, what he's done for Isaac, and what he's done for Jacob.
Makes sense. Wow.
His fame. So track that story, look at that story, look at that story. That's his track record.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh.
And so then when you get to the God of Israel, the reason why his name is important is because the nations knew Yah. If you go back through Canaanite history, the Canaanites have a God called Yahweh. And you get this huge contention between people because they're like, well, if the Canaanites had a God named Yahweh, or they wrote about a God named Yahweh, then how could that be the God of the Hebrews? And you have these people arguing back and forth. I submit to you today that the reason why that happened and the reason why the Canaanites knew Yah or Yahweh is in the description. How they knew him is in the description. He was known to them as the God of war. Now think about it logically, not with our Western minds, but how a logical Eastern Mesopotamian living person would think, which is concrete. Yahweh is a God of war. Yahuwah is a God of war to us. Why? He's always fighting us. Why? Because we're always fighting his people. So the only relationship that they would have ever had with this God, if you will, would have been one of conflict.
Right.
But then you have Israel who sees him as the self-existing one. He's also a God of war for them as well. So you see how the relationship and the way the language works, they see it both ways. But they both understood something. They knew his fame. When the children of Israel are going to battle and they're fighting all these people, when they get to Rahab, right? And all the people are afraid. And she goes, oh, we heard about what happened. What did they hear? They heard the fame. It had traveled from Egypt all the way into Canaan that these people were coming. The fame of Yah literally spans the whole world. That makes sense? Okay, so when we're dealing with his name, it carries with his fame. It's not necessarily a title. It's literally when you speak it, you're telling of his story, his fame and what he's done. To not is like, oh, well, I don't know who or exactly. So you have to do a lot more explaining, but then they would say the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Everybody's like, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Right,
because
right.
every nation has an interaction with Yah's children. It's set up that way. From the beginning, Abraham went out and he met all the rulers of that time. And the same thing, they went through that land. That's why he had them move around like they did, because it became a witness of his fame. How are you rich, you random nomad man who came from seemingly nowhere, right? And then he's like, oh, I don't take anything from anybody. El Shaddai, right? He sustains me. Well, who is that? Oh, let me tell you, right? And then the story travels on. So you have this little nation that becomes a great nation. So his name or his fame is then carried in his people. So that's why he says, don't take my name in vain. What does that mean? Don't misrepresent my character. Don't misrepresent my fame, right? He says, I've never seen the righteous forsaken nor his seed go begging bread, right? Because if that's the case, it makes me look bad. We all do that with our kids, right? Don't you leave the house looking like that. Don't you go around acting like you don't have a mom or a dad or a why? because you're carrying my name. You're saying you're mine, and if you're struggling or if you're in this position, then you make me look bad. So don't say you follow me if you don't. Here's my next word, Shema. Don't say you follow me if you don't obey me.
All right.
Because if you say you follow me and you don't obey me, you take my name in vain.
Wow.
Because I can't bless you and make you look like Abraham. I can't make you look like Isaac. I can't make you look like Jacob or Israel if you're not obedient to me. I have to separate myself from your chaos. So that means I'm punishing you. And nobody on the planet will believe that you're mine if I'm punishing you. Right? But you are. But now you're taking my name in vain, and now I'm seemingly your enemy. Right?
Wow.
So the total word here, shin, mem, ayin, right? So to eat, consume, destroy, or to nourish the blood. And then I is experience. So to obey Yah is to give testament of the experience that you've had with him. When we don't listen to him, we're saying, you haven't done anything for me to listen to you.
Oh my.
Because if I've done something for you and I've been there, oh, you've been faithful, then why won't you listen to me? If I've been faithful, why won't you follow me? It's like a conflict. Like you're telling me that you love me and that I lead you, but then I say you do something, you're like, oh no, I'm not gonna do that. He's like, oh, so you don't hear me. Shema means hear. You don't, but it literally means you have not seen my fame. You really haven't seen it. Because if you saw my fame, right, then you wouldn't have a problem listening to me. Because it constantly, over and over again, the Most High reiterates this. He goes, I am Yahuwah your Elohim, who has taken you out of the land of your enemies, out of the land of Egypt, and brought you into a land flowing with milk and honey. Why does he keep saying that? It's his fame. I got you out of bondage. They were going to kill you. They were killing your babies. They were literally killing, putting them in bricks. So you're making bricks without straw. They were beating you. It was terrible. It was the worst situation ever. I bring you out of captivity. I bring you out of slavery. And then you come out of slavery, you forget that that's what it was. Right? And then they went into the wilderness, right? And then they go, oh, I want to go back to Egypt. And he's like, did you forget? He's like, the mighty works. And he goes, and Acts Stephen does it again. He goes, led you out of captivity. He parted the waters. And they go back to the story. Why? Because that should have pricked their hearts. And then as a few people, he was like, I didn't choose you because you were the greatest or the strongest or the smartest. I chose you because I loved you. And then I choose you and I do these mighty works, and then you don't obey me. So that means you haven't experienced my character. Because if you, literally, if a person said, I'm going to give you $10 every day, and they literally give you $10 every day, eventually you'll begin to expect the $10, right? It would be strange if you showed up and there wasn't $10, right? We've had grandparents who, like, for your birthday, you're going to get ones in the amount of your age. If your grandma doesn't give you a card, you're like, you expect it, right? Because they're consistent. Well, the Father's consistent. He's like, waking up in the morning. Do you know that scientifically they have yet to prove how a body goes to sleep at night and wakes up in the morning? They know that it happens. They can tell you what happens. But there's nothing that can be explained about why it happens. When you go under anesthesia, there's a person and they have a medication and they sit there and they watch you and they wake you up. If that anesthesiologist is not there, you don't wake up. But you go to bed every night pretty much entering into the same exact state as when an anesthesiologist puts you under and you wake up every morning.
All right.
Without any person there to watch you. And you don't ever lay down and go, oh, I'm so afraid to go to sleep because I don't know how to wake up. You depend on it.
Yeah.
Right? Where nobody could. If you went to sleep tonight and Yah didn't wake you up in the morning, if I came to your house and tried to wake you up, I couldn't do anything. I don't hold the power of that. But he does those things that we take for granted every day.
Yeah.
And then when he tells us, hey, I need you to go across the street to da-da-da-da. Am I hearing you correctly? Talk to who? Do what? You're like, oh, but when it came to waking up this morning, you weren't so resistant. Right?
Okay.
You weren't like, wake up. Oh, no. No, we're grateful for that. Even when we don't realize how grateful we are, the idea of waking up in the morning, breathing. We breathe like it's nothing. Whenever I say breathe, everybody goes, Yeah. You
Yeah.
immediately start
Borrow
watching
breath.
yourself
Right.
breathe.
Yes.
His shim is literally his breath.
Yes.
The idea of his fame is that I share my breath with you. If I literally stopped doing anything, oxygen would stop. I'm holding literally everything together right now, and you don't question breathing. You don't go, lungs, I want you to inhale and then exhale, and I want you to convert that carbon dioxide coming from those trees and take this carbon monoxide and make it this and make sure I'm not in an area where you don't do that at all. You trust it. And he's like, well, you trust me like that with literally life. Like your literal breath is your literal life. But then you don't trust me with other areas. You don't trust me with your finances. You don't trust me to tell you how to walk out your life. You don't trust me when it talks to ministering, when it comes to ministering. You don't trust me.
Yeah.
You're like, oh no, I trust this person more. They seem to know more than me.
Oh
So what if
my.
I just stop doing everything I'm doing
Oh my.
and you stop experiencing me and my fame? Then what would your life be like? That makes sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
So when I gave you the Shema, where I said, hear, O Israel, right? It's the idea of to hear and then respond because of your experience. Don't just hear me with your ears, right? They're like, you hear me, but you're not listening. Don't just hear me, but hear me so that you can respond to what I'm telling you to do.
Right.
Because my fame is, my fame precedes me. I've already done it. And I'm still doing it. And I will continue to do if you will just trust the experience. Okay?
Interesting.
Was it a good intro to
Yeah, that was
this
good.
next step right here? All right. So that's something we can chew on. All right.
This time tie into where Yeshua says, he that has an ear, let him hear.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. And the idea of, he says, if you don't hear me and obey my commandments, he said, I don't hear you. I'll give you that verse.
Oh, that's pretty deep.
Yeah. So we should
Thank you,
take
guys are welcome.
action on that we hear.
Yes.
It moves us into obedience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, this one right here. Proverbs 28:9, right? It says, he that turneth away his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer shall be an abomination.
My Lord.
It's heavy.
Yes, it is.
Because the law is instruction. He who turns away from hearing my instruction, your prayer is an abomination. Why? Because you're praying so that I do something opposite of what I already told you to do.
Wow.
My instruction is my instruction. So you're praying against me? Dear God, I pray against you that you will do what you said you're not going to do. Even though I'm asking you to, he's like, oh no, I'm not even going to hear that. He said that, because an abomination is, we think of abomination in an interesting way, but it literally means dysfunctional. That's completely dysfunctional. Don't bring that dysfunctional stuff around here. I'm functional and I'm good. Don't ask me to do dysfunction. I can't do dysfunction. I'm incapable as of doing dysfunction. So he's saying, I can't even hear it. It's like, what? I can't entertain it. So it's like, you might as well just say that one. Because it just it goes amiss. Like when I see you pray amiss, it's like, it's just out there. And the interesting thing about the adversary is, and this is, we can dive into this more if you guys want to. When you pray off the line, if you on a line and it's a secure line, but then you accidentally press the wrong button, you put somebody on the freeway and then they can hear your conversation. When you pray amiss, you give the adversary the three-way line into your conversation. And the interesting thing about the adversary is he can answer prayers too.
Wow.
Right?
That's right.
Right.
He can give you the desires of your heart too. When they're off. So people are like, okay, but because then you'll do anything to get it, right? So it's like, well, all you have to do is, go stand on the San Francisco Bay Bridge and it's yours. And you go stand out there, he don't have the power to give it to you first. And you stand out there and try to claim it. People think you're crazy, right? Oh, you can have $1 million, go rob a bank. And you're like, oh, that's one way to get it. Right? He always has he can provoke you into the direction of getting it. Oh, sell your soul. Yeah, you can have all that you want. But it comes with a price. Following Yah doesn't come with a price. You're never deaded. right? Whenever you deal with the adversary, you're put into debt.
Yes.
And so when you don't obey Yah, you go into debt. The first sin in the garden was a sin of obedience.
Mm-hmm.
It was a sin of obedience behind food too. I know people are like, what? Yeah, it was a food thing, right? You said, don't eat.
All right.
Right?
Uh-huh.
When Yah says not to do something, and then somebody comes back and tells you to do something, it's literally like the adversary. Yah said to do this. Well, such and such said not to do this. You're like, you sound like the devil. And I'm going to go with what the Father said, but it was a sin of disobedience.
Yes.
Right? And so the term in Hebrew for the snake was a nachash. Really, and it literally means, and when Eve spoke, she said, the nachash nasad me. What is she? She literally knew what happened. She said, he debited me. He put me in debt. He took from my truth account and exchanged truth for a lie. You've heard that before, right?
All right.
Right? So when they didn't obey, they exchanged truth for a lie, being put in debt. Easy way to think about that is if you have a real $100 bill and I have a fake $100 bill, if you give me your real $100 bill and I give you the fake $100 bill, I am plus $100 and you are negative $100. That's what the adversary does. Every time we are supposed to shema, and we don't, he takes from that truth account and puts you in debt. That's what sin is.
Wow.
When you don't listen, you get put into debt, and then you are forcing a price to be paid for your disobedience because you're in a debt that you can't pay. There is no type of covering for intentional sin.
Wow. All right.
Does that make sense? When you sin on purpose,
Yes.
the only covering comes from the Messiah. That's why Paul says, shall we sin so grace may abound? Yah forbid, right? Because then you make the blood of Hamashiach of none effect.
That's right.
Is that what it says? Am I making it
Yeah.
Okay, so when we don't hear and to obey, then we're literally putting ourselves back in debt. He says, why would you go back into the bondage of sin and death? Everybody goes, oh, you're going back under the law. No, to sin and death. When you disobey, you're going back under the law of sin and death, requiring you to be redeemed again, right?
Wow.
Why would you do that? You see the baffling, the idea of how they thought, like, why would you do something like that? It makes no logical sense to a person that's thinking you're free. Why would you do that? You're free and your account's on plus. Why would you let somebody write you a bad check?
All right.
That makes sense? Okay. All right. So I gave you one of the words for tonight. So I gave you that so you can see how the words work, so that when we go into this tonight, it doesn't freak us out. We know too from last week, right? So we learned Aleph, Bet, and Bet makes two sounds, right? That Bet, Bet. Let me listen to Aleph Bet song. Right? And we learned a vowel point, and they had two kind of looks, but they both made the same sound. They made the ah sound. So that was us last week. We learned Aleph is silent in the modern script, and it gets its sound from these vowel points. And then we learned bet and vet. So this makes the bus sound, that makes the bus sound when you're reading in your modern Hebrew script. This week I'm going to add two more. So we wrote these down, but we didn't go over them extensively because I said we would get to them. So I'm just going to draw like a little line here, and I'll write it over here. So we have mem, and mem is going to make the sound of the first letter. So for mem, it's going to make the sound. Okay, and you write it. This one is a final mem. It's the same letter, but this one shows the end at the end. Okay, so it's a final mem, and it shows up at the end. All right, and then we learned about that tiny letter. Do you guys remember what it's called? A yod. Who said it? Yes, a yod. So it's this little one that looks like a little comma hanging in the sky. It's a yod, and it's gonna make the y sound. All right, and it'll, when it's in a word, and we'll see one, it'll make the long vowel sound. Now we're going back to kindergarten. Right? So it's gonna give it when it's with a couple with a vowel, it's gonna make the long sound. Okay, this will all make sense. I promise you, we're gonna play with it so that it will make sense. And then I'm gonna give you two new little vowel points, okay? So I'll split this in half. So we have the ahs, right? I'm gonna give you the E sound. So can everybody make the E sound? E, just E, the long E sound. It looks like a little dot. All of these that we're learning right now are gonna be at the bottom of these letters, okay? So this one makes the E sound. And this one here, two dots next to each other. And this will be under the word as well. Make the A sound, like gray. So can we all say A?
A.
So these are all sounds that you already make. We're just changing the picture that you associate them with. That's all that's happening really, truly, when you're learning Hebrew. You already know how to make the sounds. You use them all the time. It's just the picture, because we see letters, right? So if I wrote out with a word, if I wrote they, right? You know how to say that. And it looks like how you're used to seeing it. But now this is not a real Hebrew word, so I'm just gonna but for all intents and purposes, this is a tav, it makes a TH sound, and I'm gonna put that little dot under it. I'm saying the same thing as that. They. It's just changing how you see it. Have you ever seen a person write in shorthand?
Yeah.
And you like, I don't understand. How do you understand what that is? People take notes. It's kind of the same exact thing, but this time we're learning a different language and we're doing it. That makes sense? Okay. All right. So I'm gonna give you guys a chance to write that down, and then we're gonna go right into reading. So does everybody have this down? If you don't, what we used to do, what I do in school, because I like to have my stuff in my phone sometimes because the paper, I lose it. So I take pictures of my phone of like the board. So that's also an option. If ever I write something like, I should move too fast, take a picture, I'll write down later. It's a thing, it's a thing. Don't be ashamed, I do it all the time. Or go back and watch the video and pause it. All right, so I'm gonna give you these. I'll write them out really quick. All right, remember that we read from right to left. I'm gonna give you guys a little key at the bottom, like this, so you can kind of know what you're looking at. I'm writing it small on purpose. I hope you don't have to use it. All right, so we're gonna work from right to left like this, like swoop back around and work from right to left like this. All right. And then remember that when it doesn't have a dot in it, what is it? Sound does it make? The V sound. So it's like a hard V sound. Okay. And then this is the what sound? This little dot.
E sound.
The E sound. And so when we're reading, because we're going to read like children, we're going to read top down because Hebrew goes vowel, consonant. These are all separate words, if you will, for right now. So these are their own sound combinations, each one of these, okay? We're gonna start, and we're gonna go across, and then we'll do it slow for the first two, and then I want you to combine the consonant and the vowel sound, okay? That makes sense?
Okay.
All right, this is reading. All right, so this one is V, E,
B.
very good. A, They. Oh, I forgot that one. Right? Okay, let's do with this one.
What's the two dots?
Two dots. They. Very good. Okay, now say these together. So kind of do it in your head ahead of time, and then say it out loud. So I'll kind of stall. So this one.
B.
B. Just say it all together. B.
B.
Just these two dots. A. So you, with the aleph, it's gonna get its sound. So this will just be A, because it's silent. A. Okay? So this one's silent. So it's
E.
very good. This makes the sound like mouse.
Me.
Me. Very good. A. May. Very good. This is the same exact letter of this, it's just when it's at the end of a word. So this is ma. Very good. This is the same exact thing, just two different ways of writing it. One's the final form, one's, so
It's a
again,
big ma.
ma. Very good. Let's go back over it again. So let's go a little faster. So B, they, B, A, E, me, may, ma, ma.
What was that last one?
Ma.
Ma, and what was the box?
That one's ma too. So it's
Oh,
like the final
I
form.
thought I heard it twice.
Yeah, it's like I heard mama. You want to take a picture of that? Okay. Got it? Okay. All right. Write the next one. This is reading. This is what I do at home when I'm learning off the first grader. Or learning with my first grader too. She's gotten pretty good. She said she's gonna make a Hebrew book for people to learn. She's so serious. She's so serious. All right. Do not be alarmed.
We're alarmed.
Do not be afraid.
You're doing compound words up there.
Like, oh no, done. I'm gonna smoke up. Same exact thing that we just did. I told you that the yod is just gonna make the
Y'all sound.
like, but it's like it like extends this. So a, like a. So it's just a,
Okay.
right? A. So you have the A, and you're really just saying it the same way. It doesn't really change anything.
Oh.
So
Interesting.
why are they different? If they have different meanings and for different.
When it's in
Way
different
to use
words,
it?
yeah, when it's in different words, because when there's a yod at the end of the word, it makes it personal. So you'll learn that later when we get to grammar. And the yod at the end. So if I say, I taught you names. So your name is Shim, Shimmy, my name. See, it's just Shim, Shimmy. It makes it personal to you. Ab, father. Abi, my father. Right?
Got it.
You're gonna learn a word today for mother.
What's Abba?
Abba is like it's more like like kids say baba or abba, like it's just the extended form of it. Because really means to like multiply. Aleph bet bet, aleph bet bet hey is kind of the same thing. So they say abba, like daddy, father, daddy is how it would be. Yeah, more endearing. All right, so really you're just saying the vowel sound. Don't worry about the yod; it's there. Just to like make you feel like it's gonna be difficult.
Oh.
Okay?
Is that why it's there?
That's why it's there, yeah. That's why it's there. It's getting used to seeing more with it, but it actually has a meaning, and we'll see a little later. So let's start here. A, yep. E,
B,
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 B, me,
Me?
May,
yeah,
No.
A,
A,
aim, eam. Because you're gonna go silent, you're gonna say the sound, and you're gonna jump right to the next consonant.
Oh, okay.
So let's try and begin with the ones that have a consonant at the end. So this will be a, aim, and then eam. Aim, eam. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Anybody want to take a picture of this? Now I'm gonna give you And then now you'll see how, what I'm gonna write next, you'll see how sometimes if you see a Hebrew text and then you see all the translation under it, it could be like 4 sentences for the right. What the translator does when he translates is he tries to make it make sense to you. And some words, one word could have all of that meaning all together. For instance, we mentioned name. Jeremiah's name. Well, let's do. I think of somebody that you guys would. Okay, Yeshua, right? Yah-shua, right? That's 2 words. Yah's salvation, or Yah saves. That's his whole name, though. But it tells the whole story, right? So the Hebrew words are like that, where you'll have a name like Ichabod, the glory of Yah has left. That's all in his name.
Wow.
Right? The name literally has a whole story. So Hebrews didn't name their children names because names sounded good. They named them names that went with what their fame was going to be. David, right? We all call him King David, right? But his name is David. His name is Dauid, and his name means beloved. Right? It's also the same word that we would say for dode, right? In Hebrew is an uncle. Right? And it's interesting is your dode or your doda, your aunt, often that person that like you have this like really warm, intimate relationship with, in a functional sense. Like they're the person who, they're not so much your parent that you have this like rocky, tumultuous relationship when you get to your teens, but they're that person that like, they see you and they nurture you and they're around and they're always that person that's like, come over here. Let's talk about it, right? It's like that person. Yes.
Now the word dode, could it be for uncle or aunt? Is just specified?
Dode is uncle.
Okay.
Doda
Doda.
is aunt.
Okay.
Right? So like when you put a
Dodi is beloved?
like my beloved. So
My
Dauid,
beloved.
like Dauid, my beloved. So his name meant that. So when he's like a man that has a heart after Yah, he actually lives up to his name. He's like, your name is my beloved, and literally like you're my beloved. And sometimes you had people that didn't live up to their names, right? Like it worked that way, but you were given a name and it was supposed to send you on a path of what you're supposed to aspire to be. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, so I'm gonna give you
It's like a lot of the names I'm learning had purpose and destiny in it.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Every single one. If you've ever followed the names, and we can do this, you might be able to look at it, from Adam to Noah.
I did it.
You've done that? It actually
Yeah.
tells a story.
Yep.
The names from Adam to Noah literally tell
Like
the story
short
leading
coming.
up to the flood, and then the Messiah coming. He's gonna send a
Yep.
comforter, and you hear it all the way. So the names literally are there on purpose.
Yep.
Because remember, there was a bunch of people that lived during that time, but the characters that were given and the way the story is laid out is to lead us to a particular end or
Yes.
or place.
Destiny.
Okay, let me give you these. These are all words you know, so don't be alarmed. Like, no, I'm alarmed. I'm alarmed. I'll take my break a minute. I'm gonna tell you something really cool about the word mother. Because there's always a Y in Hebrew. We're never left, we talked about this in like one of the first lessons, or we're never left with why something is something. And Yah did that because the language is meant to be learned as a child. And when a child came across a meaning of something, they would go, well, why does it mean that? I'll tell Ariam, like, you're being very obnoxious. What is obnoxious? All right, you literally, like, you tell a child that they're gonna ask you what it means, and you describe to them what they're doing and what it means. The father did the same thing with the language.
That's good.
What is that? A child would say, why is that? And you could explain it, where we're sometimes like, well, what you're doing right now is exactly what I mean when I say what you're doing. Like, we do a lot of that is what obnoxious is. With the language, you don't have to do that because it tells its own story. It speaks for itself. Yah has a language like that because he knew there would come a time where a lot of people want to speak for him. And so he reserved the right to speak for himself. Okay, I'm gonna give you one that you don't know. I'm gonna give it to you anyways. I'll tell you what it is. Okay, let's be a bonus one. Bonus. All right. We're gonna do the same thing and sounding them out, and then I'm gonna tell you what they mean. So, 2 dots make the what sound?
E.
A. 1 dot is the E. 2 dots is the A. A. Aim. Aim. Okay. Aim means mother. Aim. Mother. So we're gonna be like kids. Now you're gonna say, why does aim mean mother? Right? You can say like aim. Why do we call you mom? Right? We don't know why. I don't even know what the linguistic teaching is behind mom or mommy. I'm like mom makes sense a little bit, but it makes sense. But in Hebrew, aim is aleph. What is aleph? What is an aleph?
Leader.
And what kind of animal?
Ox.
It's an ox, right? And what is a mem?
Water.
Water, right? So
Water.
a mother, right, is the ox,
Yes.
like ox water,
Holding the baby
or
in the water.
strong water, right? What
Oh,
was
strong
strong water?
water.
Strong water in the to Hebrews or to people who lived in the Near East, they would take the cow hide and they would put it in water and they would boil it. And the stuff that rose to the top, they would scoop it off, and that will be used as glue. So the mother is the strong water, and she's the glue that holds the family together.
Oh, wow.
Right? How cool is that?
How cool.
Now, so you have the father who is the leader of the home, and the mother who holds or
She's
keeps
the glue. She's
the glue that keeps the family together.
Wow.
How cool is that?
How cool is that?
Yeah.
I'm loving that one.
Yeah.
I'm the glue.
Yes.
Could you sound that again? How do you
Aim. You hear Ima sometimes. Ima. You probably hear Ima. Aim or Ima. So it's all the way out of Ima, but aim. Okay, this one, the M, the mem makes the sound. So me. So me. Remember I told you that's just there to throw you off. Okay. So me means who. And it's so funny because you'd be like, you, me, right? So me is who. Okay. So we're gonna combine these two, right? So you're gonna see all of the stuff you see right here in this word. So you have a me, like Amy. So like and me. That's how we pronounce it if we went all together because it kind of blends like when we talk and me.
Me.
And me. So it literally means, I told you that yod would come in handy. This tells me, right? Who? Tells me who. This is my mother. So the yod actually answers the question in a sentence. So you see the me that's still there? You see that me, that who is like literally still in the question, in the word? Right? Mom is in there, Ema, mother, and then who? Well, this yod tells you the who. In any word.
Answers my mother.
Right, it's my mother. And me, my mother. Avi, my father. Right? So whenever that, whenever E at the end of something.
Mine.
Right? I'm trying to think of another word that we use it in a lot. Give me a word. Somebody. Was it Lauren? You know Hebrew. Give me a word. Huh? Another word we use E at the end of it. John the blank
right now. I know.
Yeah, see, you
Yeah,
lost me.
completely.
Okay, but anytime you see this at the end of a description, like a mother or a name, it means mine. We'll see some more of that later.
Oh, wait,
So
don't
that-
erase it.
Huh?
Don't
You want me to erase all this drawing I did around it? No? Okay.
I'm gonna do the side.
We'll see it again on the next word so you'll know what it is. It's my watch telling me to breathe. Okay, this one, this one is right?
The.
And then E. You had it?
V.
So Avi. Don't worry about this because this is going to tell you Who? So what is this? Av or Av is what? Yes. Av or Av is father. So it's my father. Very good. So Abi, my father. My father.
Yes.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, this one, I'm gonna give you this one, because this one's a little, we'll use it in a second. So it's Yabo. When you see this little dot, don't worry about it, we'll go into it in depth. At the top of a letter, it gives you the O sound, like O, okay? Okay, so it tells you, it says, this word is he came, or he will come. I'm just giving it to you for a sentence purpose, I'm gonna write a sentence on the board. So this one, Yabo, he will come. Yabo, okay? Yabo, he will come. So we have mother, aim or im, who, me, my mother, and me, my father, Abi, he will come, Yabo. Alright?
What about Hebrew in Hebrew?
Right.
Ivri.
Ivri, right.
Okay.
So Ever is Eber, right? He is from the line of Shem. And that's where we get the word Evri, which we say Hebrew. Hebrew is not actually a Hebrew word. I know. Mind blown. How you say Hebrew in Hebrew is Ivri. Ivri. Yes. So if I said, I would say I am Ani Ivrit, or Ani Ivri. I mean, I am Hebrew, right? Ani, I'm trying to find another word. I always draw a blank when I'm trying to find, like I don't want to overwhelm you, so. I'll just wait. Say whole thing's like, she's like, yeah, sure, it sounded good. Okay, so one of the common questions you get when you go, like if you're in Israel, when you want to talk to somebody and you don't have enough words to actually like, cause I speak really fast, you would ask them, do you speak, right? So if I said, Ani medeberet Ivrit, like I can speak Hebrew. So then they'll go and they'll just like talk.
Yeah, don't say
Right? Right? And then are gonna say, Ani medeberet English. Like I speak English, although they don't have anything to say. Like, go find somebody else to talk to. Okay, so I'll give you a couple of sentences. All right, big. There's not really one of these go even there. Okay, so I gave you a clue, right? It's a question. Okay. I gave you this one last week. I don't know if you guys remember. If you checked notes last week, then I'll give you a golden star on the board. So go ahead and try to work out what this means. And if it helps, because when I first started out, it made it a lot easier for me. Write it out like this. I'm gonna do this
I'm
first
gonna
part
take a
for you.
stab at it.
Right, you gonna do it?
I'm gonna take a stab at it.
So you can write it backwards, but in English. So write it out like you see it. Right? Or right? And then move to this part and sound it out. There's no crime in doing that. That is what a transliteration is. Taking the sounds and then telling it to you, just like that book that you had where it gives you like the transliterated version. Transliterate yourself. Because that's what you're going to start doing when you start reading. You might have to go through and write some sentences out and be like, okay, so long phrase, let me sketch this out because I can't go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down as long as I can. Okay, so it's mi, ba. Mi, ba. So, mi, ba. You had a party, mi, ba.
Me by.
So, right? just how I said it, you get some context clues, right, of what it means. So, or mi ba to your party. Want to take a guess?
Invite you.
I come. Invite you.
Who? Wait, you were right. What did you say?
Come.
Right. Who came to your party? Mi ba.
They have very few words for very big meanings.
Right. Exactly. It's so concise. I think I told you the story of the elder that I met in Israel. He said his family. Right. Mom. What? Right. He would, like his kids, when they got ready to argue, they would argue in Hebrew. And he would get upset with them. He's like, why are you doing that? And they were like, it's not because you don't speak Hebrew, because the children did and he didn't speak fluently. He said, because the arguments are over quickly because we can speak more directly with the language and get my point across better. Right? So they would, and it's done. Right? So it's easy. Right? All that, who came to the context is all there. Who came? Right? I don't have to go into, if I'm talking to you directly, you know what I'm talking about.
Right. That's
So if I come in the house, I go, who came? And you're like, oh, nobody came today, right? So it's mi ba,
Mi ba.
mi ba,
Who
mi ba.
came?
Who came?
Wow.
Okay. And then I'm gonna teach you how to answer the question. All right. Who came? We have see, natural. I'm gonna write it on the board. Yes. How about this? I'm gonna put your sentence on the board, but I'm gonna change it a little bit
Like this,
because it's gonna sound a little different. Because
because this is an M and this is an M.
so you answer the question and I'm writing your answer on the board. You said Ima, right? So I just changed a little bit. I said, and me ba'a, my mother came. Right? And me, my. Ba, it means come, but when it's feminine, it has a hey at the end. And mi ba'a, my mother came. Right? So you say mi ba, and I say and mi ba'a, my mother came. Right? And so it's funny because how the inflection works, it could be a question or it could be a statement. So if I said and mi ba'a, like my mother came, right? Or and mi ba'a, my mother came.
It's how you say it.
It's how you say it. So much of language is how we say it. Does that kind of make sense?
Makes
So
sense.
they don't have punctuation.
Oh, no. Well, I'll put it like this. A lot of people who have like relocated still read with punctuation. A lot of the books still have it because for a lot of people, if you're not speaking it, so many people speak English now that it's like a lot of times mainly used in liturgy, like in services. And there are people that speak obviously throughout, but the younger generation, it's like English is preferred because a lot of people travel, and so they're bilingual where they'll know both. But it's just like any other place that becomes westernized. You get less and less people that are able to like navigate through it. So you'll like anywhere you go, you'll go into like to the airport, into like the gift shop, and there'll be a kid sitting there like reading. What are you reading? He'll either be reading a book or he'll be reading Torah, and you'll see it's something that has to Hebrew is a constant life language because the language is learned in living. So it's not something where you can ever really stop learning because the depths of the language are tied into the scripture and there's no depths to it. So it's like you constantly are learning. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
There's
Okay.
so many levels.
There really are, because there's like the basic, like I know a lot of people who can read fluently, and if you ask them to like interpret what the Bible means about something, they have no idea. Of course, you could read English and you say, well, what does this verse mean? And they would say, well, I can tell you what it reads as, but if I wanted you wanted me to tell you in depth like what the spiritual meaning is according to the book, they would have no understanding.
It makes sense.
I have friends like that who are fluent, and I'm like, oh, so that's like, and they're like, okay. Like, it's the same thing. So you can literally know, and that's what happens a lot of times when you get a Hebrew teacher. If you're trying to learn biblical Hebrew, they'll know how to speak it, but they won't know how to make the connections and why the language does what it does on its, I would say, its micro level. They know it on a macro level, but not to break it down letter by letter.
That's good.
Yeah, like most Hebrew speakers would have trouble going through and saying, oh, that letter represents this. Because that would fall more into like a person who's learning it for the linguistic side of it and not just the speaking side.
It makes sense.
That makes sense? Okay. Okay, so we learned that my mother came. What about my daddy though? What did he do? All right, let's do that one.
I didn't say he left.
You said a mouthful, sister.
Okay, so go ahead and take a crack at that one. So, go ahead, get it?
Come on, class.
That makes the
That's the B.
so ba, and then b, e, b. So ba, b.
B.
I can make mine.
Ba.
Ba, b. So that means my father came. So Hebrew has this like cream cheese thing that it does, or cheese cream, right? Cheese cream. So when we say cream cheese, it would be cheese cream. It's always like kind of flipped, where the naming part, as I would tell Jade, right, follows the action is before the naming. So you get the action, and then you get who's doing the action. So ba, that's the coming. My father is the one doing it. He's coming. My father came. Make sense? All right. All right. The more you do that, I promise you, because I even get, like, I go through and I'm like going back through workbooks. It's just like I get it. It makes your brain lethargic a little bit, because it's just, you have to let it just matriculate. It goes through a process. It literally will sink in. Just like today when I put up ba, you're like, oh, I got that. That was so last week. Right? It'll be the same thing for this, because eventually you're going to have these words. So if you didn't get a chance, I'm going to write the vocabulary back up there, because we're going to use them again. So I'm going to write those back up, and then that's kind of how we'll end. We'll go over those. Because memorize them. There are words that come up very, very frequently. Father is a word that's going to come up a lot. Mother is a word that's going to come up a lot. Who is going to come up a lot. And seeing just those little phrases of words is going to stimulate your mind and prepare you to read. Yes?
What's the difference in the do we call it symbols? What is this called when you
Script.
write? What's the difference in the script between mother and father? They look similar to me.
They do. Oh, you went to the bathroom.
Yeah, I did.
I put that on camera too, I'm sorry. You went to the bathroom. Okay, so anybody want to take a shot at explaining it? Anybody remember? It was your favorite. You want to try? Okay.
Yeah, I want to try it.
Yes.
Since it was my favorite.
Yes.
Sister Joanna.
I'm going to try to explain it.
Okay.
Well, I'm stuck. I kind of get it, but I don't know how to.
Okay, give her the end part. Give her the what it means, and then I'll give her the explanation. So what is a mother?
The glue.
The glue. We are the glue.
Uh-huh.
That
Strong.
holds things together.
Yes.
The strong glue that holds it together.
Exactly. So in Hebrew, we talked about how kids are always going to ask, well, why is that? Like you just said, it looks pretty similar to me, and I'm sure a child would do the exact same thing, which is the best mind to have. The father, we learned, is the strength of the house.
It's the opposite.
Right? He's the ox, he's the strong leader of the house.
Yes.
The mother
Strong man.
is the strength or the strong water. But our English speaking mind are like, strong water? Well, in the Hebrew culture, you would take the hide and put it in water and boil it. And the stuff that rose to the top was the glue.
The glue.
And it was
That's the favorite.
the glue is the stuff that holds stuff together. So the mother is the strong water or the glue that holds the family together.
I missed all that away. No. Okay, I'm gonna switch to that.
So the first one up there is father and that's mother.
Father and mother.
Is there any
Im.
kind of purpose for the closed up box and the open?
You
Is
know,
that good from the beginning?
you would get a modern speaking Hebrew to make an argument for that. I wouldn't. But
What you taught us in the beginning, see how that's open? I'm thinking he's the one that's protecting.
right,
again,
so he would be
and
the
it's
one.
close
in-
and- Yeah, so I just was thinking.
No, but it would functionally,
That's good.
right? An ox
Uh-huh,
in the house.
yes,
The father would guard the opening.
yes, that's what I
Right, so
thought.
it kind
Maybe-
of, you
I
can
thought
kind of
that's why that
still
was
see
open, yeah,
the remnant of it.
yeah.
And then in this one, you could easily see, if you will, the water. So strong water, the leader or the strong one standing at the opening. Because I think I told you guys that the father or the leader would sleep at the door to
That's
protect the
fine.
enemy.
Okay.
Yes.
So the top one is pronounced of.
You'll see here, some people say Av, some people say Ab.
Ab.
It depending on what dialect
Okay.
people speak. Because I've heard Abba, I've heard Abba, I've heard Avraham,
Okay.
I've heard Abraham.
Uh-huh.
Right? So it literally depends on dialect and who pronounces the hard V.
And then the square again is so how do you pronounce the bottom one?
This one,
Yeah.
that's just the final form of the mid.
Oh.
That's how it is.
oh,
You would see it more like this, and if you were seeing it like in a book, it would look like kind of like that.
Okay.
It would
yes.
look more like it's more curvy. Yeah.
So it's sounded out.
It's just
Ima.
Ima,
Ima.
or Im, and
Okay, you didn't put the little dots.
I didn't put the little dots in this time. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So.
So it would be like Im
E,
or Aim.
E,
You see probably both ways.
Okay.
And Ab or Ab.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. That's the one.
Yeah, it's just like, wait, where's the sound?
Right.
But see, and it's one of those things that when you know the words, it just like once you know though, and I take this off, you'll just know to pronounce it because you know that's what it is. That's how most native
Okay.
speakers would see it. Yeah. Aim, Ab.
Ima. Okay.
Yep, or Ima.
Ima.
Yep. Any other questions?
Good.
Good.
Or Hashem.
Hashem. Ooh. So we did Shem, right? So I brought out the hey a little bit today when I did ba'a. I said, so when it's at the beginning, it's a definite article. When I went to English class, easy. It means the, ha, shem.
The okay.
Hashem, the name, the fame. That's what it
And
means.
you see the ha a lot in Israel because it will say the
The whatever, the this, the market, right?
bank.
Right. Yes. So ha, shem. So you probably heard Baruch Hashem,
Yeah.
right? Bless the name, right? Bless the fame, bless the character. Baruch Hashem Adonai, right? Baruch Hashem Yahuwah. You would hear it that way.
Because they were like, you can't say God. And I was
Right.
like, "Whoa, what's wrong?" You know, and they say, just say Hashem. And
Right.
I was like, all right. I was like, why can't you? You just can't say God. You can't.
Which I can give you a list. There are over 700 times in Scripture where it tells you to actually use His name.
Not to use His name.
To use His name.
Oh, to use His
To
name.
actually use it and speak
It's a
it.
Jewish way
Right,
of looking
of
things.
doing
It
it.
says not.
And the reason why, and I'll just give you this historically, we talked about it earlier where if you don't have any intent of doing exactly what
Oh,
the
I see.
name
The
says,
responsibility.
so it's almost like a superstitious way of like, I can do liturgy, I can do being in this faith, I can be in, but not actually participate. Because if I don't say the name, then I'm like, it's like doing it in rote repetition, vain
That
repetition,
is
which is
that is
without actually doing the things. Because if you know
So if
Jews,
you're not serious about
there's a lot of
That makes
people
sense.
that I know that don't do things.
So it's actually a lack of intimacy.
Exactly.
That's good. I always that threw me off when I was there.
Yeah, it's a distance because with that comes everything, right?
Yeah.
Because if it's my father,
Yes.
right, then that's an intimate relationship,
Exactly.
and it also keeps other people distant,
Ah.
right? So then it's
Yeah.
a weird kind of thing, but the father wants it done because I tell you all the time when people say, "Oh, I believe in God," and I go, "Oh, okay, I want to know how." What does that mean? Because I have friends that are Muslim who say God, and then I have friends who are Christian who say God, and then I'm like, well, what's the difference between what you call him and what and then we get down to the fine details.
That's good.
We find there's difference, but if I say yeah, it doesn't. We already know immediately that there's a difference between what I'm saying and what you're saying, because I wouldn't call him his name if I didn't know his character,
Right.
right?
So
That's
you,
good.
you would say yeah.
I always do. Yep.
Okay, I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that makes sense.
So what's the difference between Yah and Hashem?
Hashem is like a way of saying the name. So they're like, instead of saying his name, they say the name, right? Just like we say Lord. Lord is not Yah's name.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord, don't nobody stone me, it's the truth. If you don't believe me, I will make it up, look it up. Lord is named for Baal.
Yeah.
Baal, the god Baal, right? That's Baal's name.
Wow.
And so when
Yeah.
they covered up the name,
You're gonna mess up all these preachers in here.
Yeah.
Don't mess up all these preachers in here.
it's literally his name for Baal.
I'm telling
But
you.
Baal literally means master as well. And so there's a verse where the father says, one day you will stop calling me Baal and you'll call me Ishi, which means like husband, like husbandman. He's like, one day you'll stop doing that. I'll find you the verse. It's actually in English by Ali, right?
Miss Dolly, y'all.
Came out of the wilderness
Yes.
in California.
Yes, yeah, it sure was.
Is it Hosea 2:16?
What did you say?
Hosea 2:16.
Hosea 2:16. He says, and it's funny because it's in that day, which I believe is this day, the day you know, right?
We're that generation.
Right? Psalm 24, right?
So it's that way.
Yes. And it shall be at that day, saith Yahuwah, it says Lord, right? That thou shalt call me Ishi, and thou shalt no more call me Baali. Baali would be translated as my
Adonai.
Lord, or
Adonai.
or Adonai. You'll have a relationship with me finally, and you won't see me as
Does it have any correlation to do with the verse that says, and they call me, and they say, Lord, Lord, and I said, I never knew you.
right.
Yes.
I believe it would have a
I
lot
think
of
you're
correlation.
I just thought of that verse.
Because
and
they're
I
saying,
go,
Master,
yeah,
Master,
and he
Baali,
said, you calling
Baali.
me Lord,
Right.
Lord, and
And you don't
I
even
never
know
knew
me.
you.
It's not even intimate, because if you
You're
are
not even
mine,
intimate with
my
me.
sheep know me.
Right, that's
They know
deep.
my name.
I knew
They
what
know my
it
name.
meant. I knew what it meant, but I
Yeah.
didn't know if it.
You know, the person with
Yes.
That's-
So
that's-
he's saying,
That's pretty
you
deep.
see me
That's-
in
But
distance,
you
I want
don't.
you to see me intimately.
Right,
We
right.
were talking about that a little bit last week. He's like, there'll come a time when you'll finally know my shim, and then we'll be intimate. But those who don't care to know, because some people like that
That's
distance.
pretty deep.
When you're just a master, right? It's like, oh, that's over here. But when you're close, and
You're
I'm calling
gonna,
on
you're
your
gonna
name,
want to know your name, my name,
right.
that's why you're at the Hebrew
because if you know
class.
my name, then you know my character. If you know my character, you have to obey me.
Right.
So you're stopping short of wanting to be intimate with me.
Wow.
And those who are not intimate with me are not mine.
I don't know you.
Right.
Is that the
I
word
never
yada?
knew.
Yada, to
Yada.
know,
Yeah.
to be intimate.
Adopt.
Right.
No.
It means to know a person on a very, very deep level. Like when he said Abraham, he said call Abraham friend, right? Because he spoke to Abraham face, and when Abraham.
It's just like the same scripture where Adam knew his
so.
wife, yada,
Yeah.
Yes.
intimacy.
I was thinking that line.
And then
Exactly.
Jesus, and then Yeshua says, "Depart from me, you workers of iniquity, for
I never knew.
you never
Right?
became
I
yada."
never
I never
had time
Never
to
was-
commune.
yeah.
I never had time to
commune.
intimately have a relationship with you. You didn't want to
Wow.
call my name. You didn't want to meet me at my appointed times.
Wow.
You didn't care. So I never knew you. How? He's not kidding.
You didn't
I
show up
know
on those,
you, right? I know you
appointments.
because you become, okay. It is the job of humanity. That there's no more serious thing to me on the planet than my soul. Not money,
Right.
not going to work, not anything else. Why? Because at the end of the day, that part of me is the part that lives forever. We're trapped into being caught up in the rat race and worrying about everything else but the inward man.
Amen.
But it's the cultivation of the inward man that when the day of judgment comes, literally what the Father is going to do is he's going to say, get rid of the flesh suit. I'm going to give you a new one of those. I want to see if there's contents in you that reflect me. Did you take the talent, right? Like the talent or the seed and then increase it? I gave you a deposit in the beginning, like Adam. I breathed into you the breath of life. Man became a living soul. Your response as man is to have the potential to then yield back to me a thanksgiving for what I'm giving you.
Yeah.
If I get you to the judgment and I take away the flesh and everything else, right? It says all pass through the fire, and I refine you, if you will. If I take you like you said, stubble and gold, and what comes out on the other end is what is valuable. When I get to the judgment and I take you through that,
What's left?
and if what's left is nothing, then there's nothing. I mean, it's hard to think like that, but what's being cast into the fire is nothing. You became nothing. So nothing go. The Father is looking to get back what he gained. So that's why you'll be drawn back to him. That which is in you should be a portion of him. So he goes, oh, now you can be with me. All I want back is what I gave you. I don't want you. I want you to work out you. You're the dross. You're the mire and the clay. I want the pure thing. So work out your salvation with fear and trembling. So that when you stand before me and I strip all the stuff away and I say, okay, I forgive this and I forgive this, and if I get all the way to the bottom and there's nothing, and I cast all the chaff, right, away, then you're like chaff. You're going to the fire. If there's nothing left after I cast all the chaff off, then there's no you. But if I cast all the chaff off and I find grain and seed, then I can do something with that. I can take that.
And very eloquently spoken.
Does that make sense?
Good.
Did you find the verse, Lauren?
I see Isaiah 41 where it speaks about Abraham being his
Here it is. Genesis 15 and 6.
What is it?
Genesis 15 and 6. And it said, and Abraham, and he believed in Yah, and he counted it unto him for righteousness. See, we always think like, oh, no, I don't have to do anything to be counted as righteous. But Abraham, right? I always tell people, Abraham did better than I did. David did better than I did, right? So I'm going to believe the person that wrote the Psalms. When it comes to these things, I'm going to believe the person that literally listened. Abraham believed, and it was counted unto him for righteousness. What does that mean? He heard him and he obeyed him. Belief is not it's not an intellectual thing, right? Belief is action.
That's right.
Belief is, if I believe something, I do it.
Yes.
Oh, I believe you. Then if you believe me, why didn't you do it? Oh, I follow you. In Hebrew, follow is not just like, oh, I'm following. No, it's like literally take up and move, right?
Yes.
When in the Hebrew culture, when a person was being taught, they followed their teacher. Literally, they did everything they did. They mimicked them. If Messiah is our teacher, is our master, then we should mimic him. There is no idea in the Hebraic mind of following somebody and not doing exactly like they're doing. How could you? The disciples slept with him, right? They slept where he slept. They ate what he ate. They went where he went. They were persecuted like he was persecuted. Why? Because they were following him. He's like, you even speak like him. How do you say you're not his? We act like Peter. We're like, I don't know who because our walk is deceiving sometimes.
Yes.
Right? Like, how do I know you've been intimate with the Father? Because you'll begin speaking like him. You begin going to places he goes. Yes.
You know, it's funny because what you're saying makes sense because I believe it's the book of Acts says that they acknowledged that they had been with Yeshua. Because he was with them so much, they began to look and mimic him.
Yes. Say, oh, you speak with authority, like he did. Right? Oh, you're able to heal like he did. We lack, I think, in a lot of gifts and a lot of abilities because of the time that we spend intimately with him.
That is
I
so
believe
true.
that too.
Does that make sense?
Yes, I do.
Because I believe Joel 3, in the last days, these things should be manifested.
Right.
But why are we not seeing them?
Lack of intimacy.
We're praying.
Lack of intimacy.
Lack of
Praying
don't
amiss.
know how to pray.
Yes.
But it's coming.
It's coming. Oh, we're on the right track. I think we are. Yeah. Yes.
You use Yah a lot, but others doesn't. So how did you begin to switch from using that word? And what does it mean when you call God Yah?
When I call God Yah? Okay, how about this? We'll look at it. Psalm 83 and 4.
When you
Or
call me
86 and 4.
80, oh goodness.
I always get
I think it's
I always get the
86.
crafty counsel and 86. Yeah.
86, yeah.
Yeah.
Yah's the ancient form, right?
Mm-hmm. It's a I would say it's a which word am I looking for?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what word am I finding? Okay, give me 68 and 4. Okay. I went to public school for part of my education. Psalm 68 and 4.
60.
Okay? All right. Does somebody have just a regular old King James Bible?
68. Sing unto God,
Mm-hmm.
sing praises to his name, extol him that rideth upon the heavens by his name, Yah, and rejoice before him.
So there's always those interesting times when something is not translated over, when it's not covered over. So one of the times in English where it's actually translated over is yeah. It just yeah. And the reason why I particularly use Yah is I know people use Yahweh, I know people use Yahuwah, I know people, and it's Yah is in all the forms. So it keeps contention down in certain settings. So Yah is easier. I'll say Yahuwah if I'm reading and I see Lord, I'll say Elohim when I see God. But Yah is a very simple form. It's easy. It's easy to read if I'm reading something in English and God is there. Sometimes if you say Yahuwah, it doesn't fit, and then you're like jumbling, because I have gotten, I should say, proficient enough to where I read any Bible. People always ask me, what version of the Bible you read? And I'm like, I'm reading from yours. I've seen the word so many times I know how to read over them. And so he says, that's one of those verses about speaking his name, by the way, right? Because it means to exist. When we get that term when people say, because he's the self-existing one. They didn't come up with that because they were so smart. His name means I will be what I will be. I am that I am. I shall be what I shall be. Like that's what his name means. So it means that like I'm here all by myself. That's what the name means.
Hallelujah, is it praise?
Praise
God.
Yah. Like you literally praise Yah. It's saying his name, which is interesting because it's one of the words that are spoken heavily in liturgy, in congregations, and you're literally saying his name. But most of them say Baruch Hashem instead of Hallelujah. Like bless his name instead of saying Hallelujah, because they know you're actually speaking his name. But Hallelujah means to wait and to follow instructions. So I'm not gonna say Hallelujah. I'm gonna say Baruch Hashem. Bless his name. Like it's almost a little bit like the adversary where I know that you're great, right? So I'm not gonna take away from that. Baruch Hashem. Like, at a distance. But we would say Hallelujah. Instruct me in your way, because I know that you're the self-existing.
So I'm kind of curious about that word Lord. Because the Bible says.
Does anybody use a Strong's? Do you have a Strong's concordance on your?
I do.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have it.
But I'll give you the Strong's number. You can go look it up.
Yeah, I saw that when I was doing my research.
Really?
Yeah, after Yah spoke to me, I want you to know
the Strong's
me.
Hebrew number 1167, and it means Baal, and it's the word for it'll translate as owner, Lord. It's the strong, like the Strong's concordance.
Oh.
16. What did I say? 16.
1167.
1167. If you go to 1166, it'll say to marry or to rule over. If you don't know anything about the Canaanite culture, the Philistine culture, go look up who Baal is. Baal is married to the chief female deity, Ashtaroth.
Yeah.
And one of the practices and what Yah was very much against was that they would have their gods symbolically marry each other. So Baal was married to Ashtaroth, and when different nations would go with other nations, they would take their god and then try to marry them to the other gods. So they would set them up next to each other in their temples. There's a place in Tel Rod in Israel, and it's called Telerod, but it's where one of the last standing fortresses are, and there was actually a place inside of a temple of the fortress that was erected with Yah in his part, and Baal and Ashtaroth had a seat inside the temple. That's when Yah was talking about mixed worship and pagan worship. No other God sits with him. When they put up when they stole the ark and put it next to Dagon, remember it fell over?
Right.
He said, oh, you're not marrying me to your gods. I stand alone. I'll smash and subdue your gods. So that's why, so if you go back and look at that, you'll see what it means to marry and who Baal was and what that relationship was. And so
That's
there
the
is a
reason.
marrying of things that we don't normally see, and I don't think it's intentional of anybody. There's a marrying of Baal into a lot of worship places. Because if you don't know what you're looking for, then you don't know that it's been married in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so when you know, go look at Baal and look at Baal worship, and then start looking at certain things that people have brought in over time.
Easter comes from
Astarte, Ashtaroth, goddess of fertility.
You know, it's really amazing how naive so many leaders have been and just brought in pagan practices in worship and their service because it was a tradition, and not questioning why we're doing it this way.
Because if you look at why, then you're gonna see those things, and then you're like, you have this thing of, why am I not blessed? And he's like, just like he told our ancestors, right? Remember Josiah? Remember they found and they located the book of the Torah in the book of Josiah, right? I mean the book of Josiah. And the king Josiah locates his book. And he goes to Huldah, right? And to get the prophecy concerning the book. The book was lost. They weren't using it. They were worshiping and having temple service, and were not listening to the instruction of the book. They had idols in the temple. They had all kind of things going on and they didn't know. And one of the greatest reformations in the Bible happened during that time. Josiah went crazy. He was like, oh my gosh, what is this? What is this? And he starts tearing down all these things, because once he saw what that was, his response, because he had a heart for the Father, was tear it all down. I don't want any of it. And that's what the Father's looking for. He's like, when you hear me, obey me. Let it all go. And let it all go. Because then I can dwell. I can't dwell with you. If you, because I'll have to destroy you. I love you too much, so I'll have to keep my distance. So I don't have to destroy you. So what did he do? He would distance himself from Israel, and their enemies would come. He's like, better them than me. Because I'm perfect. In my judgment, I will have to wipe you off. Never know? This is what I have to do if I have to be face to face with your sin. So I will turn my back. The scripture says he winked at our sin.
Yes.
Right? I winked at it. Like, I see you, but I'm going to give you space. But now, we don't live in that time.
No.
We're getting the fullness of the knowledge, and we are responsible. It's our responsibility. It is your ability to respond to everything that he's saying. He wouldn't be talking to us in this time if we didn't have the ability to do it.
You know, it's really awesome because you have some reformers in here that Yeshua is causing to cause a reformation in Christendom. There's some of them in here. Over there, I'm looking at some of them.
Like, stare him down.
The lanes and beards.
Yes, because
The
it's
Marisolis.
that heart, and it has to happen. We don't neglect certain spaces, right? Paul went to all the people. He was like, wait, Gentiles? What? Who? Right? No, it has to happen. And sometimes it has to happen from within those spaces.
That's right.
Because to walk away from the space and say, okay, you guys don't want to get it right, is not always gonna work. Because then if sometimes you leave people, they'll be like, well, I'm so glad she's gone, but she was the main one. Trying to get us to do something different. No, I'm going to be the thorn in your flesh. And I will agitate until we get it right. Until we get it right. Because those that are really his, he'll weed them out. They'll be like, yeah, I'm just not coming no more. Yeah, I just want to do it this way. And then they'll go their own way. Right? And then that's how the Father is separating. Truth is a separator. Truth is a separator.
We don't have to do it. Truth will separate.
Yes.
Right. One of the things that I'm learning is that in your intimacy with Yah, He brings you into truth that you're not aware of. And then He takes, when He gives revelation, then He takes you back to His word. And you're amazed. You go, oh my God, it's there. You know what I'm saying? But it's through the intimacy and through intimacy, we become obedient.
Yes.
It
Yes.
Yes.
it all works.
It humbles us. We're humbled.
It
We're
does.
humbled in His presence.
It does.
It brings us to that place of,
Yes.
okay, I'm so grateful to be here. Master, what do you want from me?
Right.
What can I do?
Right.
Because I don't ever want to be out of this space. Once you get into that
Yes.
space,
You don't.
you begin chasing it. And
Yes.
you know when you're away from
Yes.
you're like, okay, I gotta fix this. Y'all think I'm over
Yeah.
there.
That's true. That's
It's like
true.
I came in here and tore up all my shalom. Like, and you'll really get to that
That
space.
is so
You'll really
true.
get into that space where
Yeah, you go.
your peace and
Yeah.
your space with the Father. So then you
Yes.
start
Yes.
truthful, like you said.
Yeah.
It'll be do the separating. And every time I'm around, you take me to a place that it puts me in a weird space, and me and the Father are off, because then I gotta, did I offend her? And I'm just gonna get rid of you.
Yeah.
So you start making some hard decisions, like it really
Yes.
that place, and then you see the Father use. He's like, oh,
Yes.
oh, you'll choose this over me, or you'll,
Uh-huh.
and then He gives you more, and then people who are also on the same path, and then you're encouraged,
Right.
and it's He doesn't take anything without putting something in its place,
Absolutely.
True.
something
That's
better,
Oh, much better.
better.
Much
And the more
better.
you yield and submit to Him, the more He reveals Himself
Exactly.
into the deeper things.
Yes, because He doesn't cast His pearls before swine. We do that sometimes. He doesn't. He's like, you want to be swine,
Hey.
but if you want to be sheep,
Oh my.
right? I can deal with
That's right.
sheep. Can't deal with
Praise
sheep.
God.
This
Beautiful.
is good.
All
This
right.
is rich.
I think we've
Let's go for another hour.
I can't. You stay? No. Thank you guys so much. I'll be here next week, and that is our 6 weeks. And we'll do some interesting things and do some recapping. And then I'll give you the schedule for the next 6 weeks, and we'll get
Okay,
together.
yeah.